Hello everyone. So this is blog number 3 of the key concepts that we're going to be considering throughout our degree and throughout the module philosophy to practice. So today's main theme, we're going to look into impression management a bit. So it's something we've covered in the past quite a lot throughout our undergraduate degree really. And we're just going to kind of tie it into our own coaching practice and also relate it to also outside the coaching process, because it's a massive thing, like socially nowadays. So someone can kick us off if we want.
Yeah, so obviously, what is impression management? I think it's the first thing we need to get down. So I've actually got there's a man called Schleckner who did multiple things over the years, but I've got him from 2006, which says impression management is the goal-directed activity of controlling or regulating of the information that is under the influence or impression formed by an audience. Yeah. So to make that sound a little bit more our language, it's obviously how it's what we do, which presents how other people look at us. Is that
definitely
first impression?
Yeah, definitely.
So I've got here James and Collins in 1993 suggests that an impression is made within probably about the first 20 seconds of someone meeting you. So it's important. People believe it's important to manage that and what they think. So they almost alter their values and behaviour so that people don't think maybe you're a weirdo, or for example.
Definitely. So it's kind of like a social construct, isn't it? So with me, I looked at a bit of Tedeschi's work. So Tedeschi 2003 puts it quite simply as an attempt by one person to affect the perceptions of him or her by another person. So it's kind of like a social aspect that's influencing our behaviour, but it's quite important to consider it's not just your behaviour in a way, it's kind of your attire. So if I'm wearing this kit now, this Yukon kit, it's going to think that people might think I'm quite professional because I'm in a sporting attire, whereas maybe if I turned up in a mankini or something, people might think otherwise. And it's kind of like having the confidence as well. Confidence and our psychological characteristics are influenced by people's opinions of us, really.
Well, that's it. So Schleckner didn't necessarily do work around sport and exercise. A lot of his work was actually, if you read into it, all about business management.
Yeah.
So it's how you perceive yourself in a whole, whether that's socially, in a business environment. So I've got that. Schneckler actually wrote that impression management relates to the impressions of a person. So that's whether it's yourself, it's your friends, it's your enemies, whether it's an object, so whether it's your business organisation, whether it's a gift or a consumer product, whether it's an event, so a task or a program, and then even an idea, so whether it was capitalism versus socialism or pro-life versus pro-choice. It's everything we do, whether I'm introducing myself, said a product, an event, an idea. It's all about how you put it across relates to how.
It's an interesting topic as well, because the work I've just mentioned with Tedeschi, he also mentioned it's not just within a coaching environment. So he mentioned about the interview process being one of the biggest methods of selection for candidates and people that have been employed, because I think we mentioned quite a lot that within the first 20 seconds of actually meeting someone, you make a judgment of them. And obviously, with being in an interview, if I was interviewing you guys now, or one of you, I'd be looking at your attire, I'd be looking at your body language, and it always goes back to coaching. You'd be looking at how confident someone is, and judging that on how employable they are. So it's a massive concept to think about for coaches.
Well, looking at coaching, it's things like your body language, your tone of voice, obviously your attire. If you rock up to a coaching session, you're wearing like denim shorts and a Ralph Lauren polo, they're going to think, who the hell's this guy? This isn't our coach. So.
Well, I know Leary in 1992 also said that obviously impression management can work in both a favourable situation or a negative situation. So I know, like, if I reflect back on my time at university, to some people, my first impression was a confident, young aspiring coach, but then to other people, my impression came over as an overconfident, almost arrogant sort of human, which played against me in a lot of accounts. So I've had to work over the 3 years, 4 years coming into this now to show people that, although I'm confident and I'm and to some extent arrogant in what I do, that actually I'm still willing to work and I'm still willing to learn, and I have thankfully managed to change a few impressions of myself over 3 years, but it has been a task because of the first impression that I had.
Like I mentioned before, it is a social construct because it's a lot to do with the people around us, so the whole process of socialisation. Paul and Tal have looked a lot into it, 2013, and we actually looked at that module in first year in Sport and Society, and it's not just the people around you as well. It could be assessors that are watching you coach. It could be friends. And I think the social groups that you're around affect your behaviour, because you two guys now are my friends. I'd consider you as my friends. So my behaviours around you two are going to be different towards a level 2 football coaching assessor. Because the environment's I'd say it's less formal when I'm with you two. And that's just the way I perceive it. But I think research needs to specify that quite a lot more, how impression management's influenced by the people around.
Touching on that, Nelson et al. 2006 suggests that people create dynamic realities to change their personalities to manage others' impressions of themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely to do with the whole perception of people's perception of others, and that's like every definition we've mentioned has touched on that really.
I think it goes back to last week's as well, looking at the reflective and reflexive approach. Like, I know if I'm consciously thinking that I'm going to reflect on this session, my impression management comes around different, because I know that I'm going to reflect on myself, so I know I'm going to try and act a different way. I know I'm trying to perceive myself in a different way. And that's why impression management is so key. And although it doesn't, we don't consciously think about it, we subconsciously always think about the way we perceive ourselves. So I'm different in the way I am in lecture, to the way I am with you guys, to the way I am with my best friends, even to the way I am with my family. I'm a completely different person, which comes back to Kane's point last week of you're only ever truly yourself if you're
on your own,
in a house, in your home by yourself, because that's actually you. But then to me, I think, is that me? Because I'm a very sociable character by who I am. So am I truly myself by myself, or am I different in a social environment? So it's a very loose, to me, it's a very loose concept, but a very real concept as well, because I do change depending on who I am, what I'm coaching, where I'm coaching. Sometimes the mood I'm in, whether I'm going through a tough time or I'm laughing. It is very true, and it is very real, and it's hard to really knuckle down watch you, how you do it.
What kind of groups of people would we say shape our behaviours with respect to impression management? So if you were coaching a session now, what groups would you say would influence your behaviours? So I'll give you an example: parents or club welfare officers. Like which are most important for your behaviours in a way? It's quite subjective, isn't it, for everyone's
For me, Leary, 1992, split it into sort of 4 subcategories, especially for sport and exercise. He said it's the motive to engage in physical activity. He said it's the people's choice of physical activity and the context to which they're engaged. It's the quality of athletic performance, and it's the emotional response to engaging in that activity. So obviously the motive to engage, why have they come to that session? Why have I gone to that session? Is it that I'm running an academy session? Is it that I'm running a school session? Is it the kids are being told it's curriculum PE? Is it a school club that they chose? The people and the context, so again that links to the motive of more them. Is it after school? Is it they've come to an academy session? The quality of performance, obviously I'm very different in my terminology, I'm very different in the way I present myself, from school to academy to pro. And then their emotional response, are they there to have a laugh? Are they there to just participate? Are they there to achieve the maximum level and win? did he want maximum level win, but in a social environment? And to me, that's the hardest one, because they're wanting to win, but they're wanting to laugh.
Yeah.
How do I then perceive, to me, as a coach, a fun, well-achieved coach? And I think that's the main struggle for a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
Can they achieve maximum quality from sort of, it's not minimal effort, but it's minimal enthusiasm, I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we have a mask that we wear when we coach, because you've got a different coaching mask, within every environment you're coaching in. So a professional mask, a development mask, or depending on the people you coach as well.
Like you say, you do have different. You create different impressions. Like when you're coaching kids, you want to be loud and enthusiastic.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to make sessions fun. But like when I coach my adults, I try to come across as fun and enthusiastic, but nowhere near as much as I was kids, because then they would think I'm a bit of a weirdo, really.
So what's closer to home for you boys? In which environment do you feel the most you?
I would say when I'm coaching adults.
Okay.
I'd say feel closer to the actual me.
I'd say particularly with me with children, but I think that's from an experience point of view. So it goes back to the reflection process, doesn't it, where you turn an experience into knowledge and reflecting on aspects of a session. So nowadays, parents are a big thing that influence my behaviours. But now I've been coaching for about 5 years with that, and I'm just used to it now. So it's an experience side of things. Whereas the first time I coached and I saw parents watching me coach, my behaviours were massively changed, particularly from professional practice. That point of view, as you said before, looking professional, making sure health and safety is good, using correct terminology, so the correct wording for things. So and obviously that's from a judgment point of view, like I said. So we're in the first 20 seconds of going into your pitch, going into your sports hall, wherever the environment is. People think about you, make a judgment within 20 seconds, and it's a lot of research has looked into that, particularly Leary and Kowalski, 1990, have mentioned that. So
I know for me, especially with my career prospects and going up, it's definitely more academy level. Although I love doing what I do for a living, which is going into schools and teaching kids, for me, it's definitely looking at more developmental and performance level of the chart.
Yeah.
The end game is to work in elite, but I know I have to obviously go up the chain.
Yeah.
So that performance level is really where I want to target, and that's where I feel most at home.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether that's because of my own career drive and what I want to do. I know I'm a good sort of community coach, and obviously I'm really fun. And I like to put across enthusiasm, but
I think as well, from a long-term relationship point of view with the players, so building a relationship, impression management's a massive thing, because like I'm looking at doing further education lecturing, and I've been in a college now for the last 2 months, and the first time I stepped foot into the room, I thought that I need to feel like I'm respected by them, because if I make a bad first impression, then that could be a long-term thing. They could form that opinion and maintain that opinion of me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like when you've formed an opinion of someone, it takes a lot to change.
I briefly mentioned in one of the other ones that impression management struggled for me, especially as a coach, because obviously I coached a lot of kids that were only a couple of years younger than me, who I'd known for years because I had a sibling in that age group so they knew me outside as this fun Matt, and when going into coaching, I'm trying to go in at something completely different. I'm trying to go in as Coach Matt, who's there to achieve what you want to achieve and get across what you want to get across. But I know for me, I struggled because obviously they both know me in different environments.
Yeah.
And I know that's actually led to me leaving the old job because I couldn't achieve what I wanted to achieve with the team that I had because of the previous impression that I had. So I've had to leave that and go into a different avenue of sort of starting afresh. So then I can start with a new first impression and go from there.
touching on that, and something you brought up before about what you want to do is Lee Min and Lee Wei, 2007, have suggested that trying to manage your impression often influences your motives and the choice of sport, and maybe the events and environments that you pick to coach in. Also influences like your emotions and your persistence of possible health damaging behaviours.
Yeah. I think society is massive within impression management. And, the people we interact with and the people we're coaching in front of, like society, and back to mention socialisation. It's massive. It's just something that is getting bigger and bigger, especially within sport nowadays.
And that's something for me that I've struggled with. It's my age. So being only 21, trying to coach players that have potentially been playing 21 years plus of rugby, I've found really difficult because I go in as this young, enthusiastic coach, but regardless of my first impression, they've got a prejudice of me being young and not understanding. And I found it's been quite hard off the bat because of prejudice. Everyone has prejudice and you can't get away from it. So trying to get your own impression across, sometimes fighting a prejudice has found difficult, and sometimes you have to prove your worth to earn the impression that you want to have.
Definitely.
So for me, it actually led for me being a bit of a player coach for about 4 or 5 games. I had to go in as a player, prove that I'm aware of what I'm doing and understand what I'm doing. For the players then turn around and go, actually, this young lad who's come in knows what he's talking about. So now we'll start to give him that respect. But obviously I'm 4 or 5 weeks into a season now and nowhere near what I want to achieve. So then I'm on the back pedal. So it's really difficult trying to find the right age group for me to go in at and go, look, 21, I know what I'm talking about. Let me try and put my point across.
That's perfect, I think. Is there anything anyone wants to say just to conclude or summarise? Or because I think we've achieved what we wanted. Like we've covered the main outcomes. I think we've shown a good appreciation of it. We've defined it, and also we've made that relevant to our coaching practices as well, kind of like we did with reflections. So I think it's great. But
we've definitely put it across how it affects all 3 of us, and it does affect all 3 of us in different ways. And like I said, if we go into lecture on next Friday, it's going to be the way we perceive ourselves is going to be completely different. And
after having this discussion, definitely.
We're going to go in with different, and you're constantly learning, you're constantly adapting with impression management. It's hard to say it this way because you're constantly changing. So.
Well, that's perfect. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you in the next blog post or discussion.